on air. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Bradley and welcome to Raw Business TV. Today is quite an unusual webcast because there's three of us in the screen, so we're really squashed. Welcome to Raw TV. For you guys that have had experience of trademarks, this is going to be an absolutely fantastic webcast for you. We're joined today with two very fantastic guys. We've got Francis Preedy and we've got Ken Sewell from Hallmark IP. Now, normally we have a number of Raw Business webcast slides that precede the webcast from the gentlemen or ladies that may be webcasting about their products and services. But today we haven't. All I'm going to do is just do a quick lead and introduction story into hallmarks and why they're so important. I'm going to tell you a quick story. Back in 1993, I owned an import-export company. Excuse me. And in my import-export company, I used to manufacture bomber jackets, flight jackets, puffer jackets, etc., etc. Now, the name of these jackets, the official military term, was called MA1. Now, some of you guys may remember the film Top Gun. Dun, 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 dun. We all love the welcome to the, the highway to the, anyway, Tom Cruise, we all love him. But the jacket they wore was an MA1. Now, I used to import these jackets. And what happened was I built up a business from scratch, as we all do, and I spent about 2 to 3 years building a company. I turned it into a company that was turning over multi-million pounds, and I was importing and exporting all over the world. That was a long time ago. However, one of my competitors tried to achieve a trademark on the terms MA1. And it was only by sheer luck that I was alerted to this fact, and I found that he tried to apply for the trademark, and we managed to avoid it. Now, trademarks, are they important for your business? Absolutely. Can they protect your business and your brand? Absolutely. Do we as entrepreneurs place this at the top of the list when we start our business? Absolutely not. Now, some people may view trademarks, oh, it's expensive, or it's a lot of money, and what if someone ever, doesn't have to use my name? Actually, it's probably one of the most inexpensive and important things that you need for your business to protect its longevity for the future. Because you never may know when someone's going to come out of the woodwork and say, hey, you're using a mark that I own. Now, how much money are you going to spend, without stealing the guy's thunder? I'm sure they're going to discuss how much money could you spend on marketing, advertising, or branding a trademark for someone to come up and say, hey, we own the rights to that trademark. So these guys have come from Hallmark IP, a very fantastic and professional firm based in Fleet Street that are working with a plethora and range of business services and industries to help you get your brands and your marks protected, your company logos protected, your names that you're trading under. So without further ado, I'm going to pass across to Francis and to Ken to give you a wonderful presentation on trademarks. And as usual, I'm going to come back in on the back end of the webcast. Whoops, I nearly fell over. And we're going to talk some more. If you have got some questions to pass across and you want to go across into the live chat, then you need to sign in your name and pose a question. Otherwise, over to the guys. Happy trademarking.
Thanks very much, Bradley. I don't think we need to give a presentation any longer. What Bradley's just said is a whole lot. He's done it. Anyway, just to introduce myself a little bit further. Yeah, I work for Hallmark IP. I've been a trademark attorney now since, I'm not going to say when that was, but I started working in the firm of solicitors, and having worked in the firm of solicitors, I've then worked in a massive, great company, which was very enjoyable, but then I went to private practice, and I've been now with Hallmark for about 14 years, I think it is. So I've been there 14 years. Ken, over to you.
Thank you, Francis. I actually have the dubious pleasure of being Hallmark's longest serving member of staff. Unlike Francis, 14 years, I've been there 40 years. Yes, I know I'm not that old. But as you can imagine, I've got a great deal of experience in the many facets of trademark work. I work closely with Francis. In fact, our offices are right next door to each other. And on occasions, under pure laziness, we do actually shout through the partition wall at each other, much to the annoyance of our secretary, who sits outside. I ensure all the records are up to date. I do attend to all the renewal matters, and we'll talk about that a bit later. And there are 200 jurisdictions nowadays which allow for trademark protection. That's an awful lot of countries, an awful lot of different laws. It's perhaps the variety that keeps me going. I also look after recordals, such as changes of name, and assignments from one party to another. The other part of my role is looking after company portfolios, seeing what marks are required and whether renewals are required. Over the years, we've run many presentations such as this, seminars, gone to business startup exhibitions, etc. And the one question we get time and time again is, what is a trademark? And I'd like Francis to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you, Ken. A trademark or a brand is something that tells customers that the goods or the services that you are providing is actually from you and not from anybody else. It tells the customer that the goods they're going to get, the services they're going to get, is of a particular quality, and that when they buy those goods again, what they're going to get is the same thing of the same quality. It's a way to identify yourselves and your goods or your services from those of your competitors.
Thanks for that, Francis. So do we have any examples of different forms of trademark?
We certainly do. There are many different types of trademarks. The most obvious, of course, is a word or words. On the screen now we have imperial leather. It's very famous, and I think you'll all probably know what that is used in relation to.
Okay, are any others?
Certainly, yeah. Another well-known mark will be a logo. If you're driving down the M4 and what you see in the distance is going to be a Shell device, then I think you know you're going to be able to fill up with petrol in the not too distant future. Again, if you have something like a half-eaten apple, I think you can probably guess that you're going to be able to have a computer, or you're going to be able to buy some other electronic good, because you know perfectly well that a half-eaten apple is something that's recognizable as a trademark.
Are there any more?
This might surprise some people, because in fact a shape is a registrable trademark. But if you think about it, at the beginning I said that a trademark is something that indicates your goods. It's the origin of the goods. So anything that actually can show they are your goods can be registrable as a trademark, a shape. The design we've got there is a bottle, and I think you'll all recognize that as a Coca-Cola bottle. You're going to expect goods of a particular quality, and those quality goods are going to continue to be of that quality for the foreseeable future. It's a Coca-Cola bottle. It distinguishes those goods.
Is that it?
No. I was talking about driving down the road. Now, if you're walking down the road, if you see a yellow or perhaps an orange sign, as the case here, you will expect to be able to buy or rent a mobile phone. Why? Because the trademark you see is something that's so well known, and it's just a colour.
So have we finished now?
No. I was talking first of all that the most famous or the most well used is a word. But if you have a word and a logo, such as the Shell device, you wouldn't be surprised. It's distinctive, and therefore what you can do is register the combination as a trademark. Similarly, that shape of a bottle will have Coca-Cola written across it. The combination is registrable as a trademark. And similarly, pardon me, the colour orange with the word orange underneath is also very well known, and it's also used widely. The combination, registrable.
So there are quite a few different variations there. But be thinking now, how about a phrase? I'm thinking of something like the famous immortal words uttered by the Churchill dog.
Oh yes, and it's registered.
Certainly is. Okay, great. Now on to the next question we often hear at all these seminars we go to. Why should I register my trademark?
The first and foremost matter is, if you register a trademark, you get exclusive rights in that trademark. And exclusive rights mean you can prevent anybody else using the same, or, and this is probably the most important thing, anything that is similar to your trademark. For particular goods and services, you can stop someone using not only your trademark that you have registered, but also something that is similar to your trademark. And finally, reputation. If what you've been doing is building up the reputation of your trademark, which of course is what you want to do, because you want people to recognize your trademark, you want people to recognize the services or the goods that you are providing, and you do that through actually building up reputation in your trademark. Now, if you haven't registered your trademark, somebody else might. They might come along, they might register your trademark, and then all the money you've spent building up the reputation and making all those sales actually could then benefit that third party who's actually registered the trademark.
But say I've got a company name registration already.
A registration of a company name is something that a lot of people think is all they need. The unfortunate thing for such people is that the only thing a company name provides you with is a right to stop somebody else registering an identical company name. So if you've registered a company name, you can't even be guaranteed the right to use that as part of your in relation to your goods. If somebody else has got a trademark for that company name and it's registered, then what happens is they can possibly take you to court for infringement. So you may have registered your company name, but you may not be able to use it. And in fact, probably the most important thing for the taxman is he's got an address to send his forms to.
Okay, similarly, what about if I've got a domain name registration?
Again, a domain name is purely an address. It's an address, however, for the internet. And again, if somebody has a trademark registration and they want to stop you using the domain name, it's possible that they can. And worse than that, they might be able to get you to transfer that domain name to you. So a domain name is not good enough either.
Okay, so now we've established exactly what a trademark is, why we should register it. On occasions, we presume you may need assistance in selecting the form of mark and the process required.
Yeah, a mark to be registrable must be distinctive. And what I mean by distinctive is something that is not well known within your field of business. Something actually must also not be descriptive, nor must it be offensive. If what you're trying to do is actually show that your goods are from you, the fact is you get exclusive rights in trademarks. If what you're doing is then saying, actually, here we are, I've got a red tomato, so I want to register red tomato for tomatoes, why should you get exclusive rights to stop people using red tomato to be able to sell red tomatoes? You can't, so it's not registrable. Now, the other side to this also that Ken wanted me to talk about a little bit was offensive trademarks, but I did tell him to think again.
Let's not go there.
Okay, so it has to be distinctive, it can't be descriptive, and it can't be offensive. And also, it shouldn't have been previously registered. And there's a particular reason for this, and that is because, okay, if somebody else has got registered rights, then they can possibly prevent you using or registering that trademark. And it doesn't really matter if somebody else has got those rights. The fact is that they can do something about your use, your registration. So it shouldn't have been previously registered.
Okay, so can you give us an idea as to the best types of mark to look at?
Certainly. If we look at the best marks, I would always say they're invented marks. Now, invented doesn't mean just a couple of letters and then describing the actual goods you're selling. Because, again, why should you get rights in, let's just say, red tomato, the words stuck together? You can't. If someone reads it, they're going to see it as red tomato. So that's not registrable, it's not invented. But if what you do is come out with a mark that is entirely invented, such as Kodak, nobody else is likely to come up with the identical mark. People will recognize that as your mark and actually show your goods. So, as I say, an invented word is most likely to be the best trademark. The next, well, something that's not connected directly with the goods or services. It might actually have a meaning, such as, okay, the word shell. That's got no meaning in relation to petrol, nor has the device of a shell. Similarly, here we have the half-eaten apple, and what goods actually would apples indicate? Nothing, but it's well known in relation to computers. So we've got those.
Now the big question, can Hallmark help us in your choice of mark?
They can. The first side of things is the assessment. Now, what we do is we will always listen to what it is you have to say. What is it that you want to do? What is the mark you want to use? And why? Having chosen those things, we will look at it. We will say, okay, yeah, the mark is free for use. No, it isn't. It is registrable. But that isn't the end of the question, because as I said before, what we do need to do is check out if somebody else has registered, which is where the clearance search comes in. When you've actually got a mark that we like, that you like, and we think might be free, we will actually look at the various registers and see if somebody else has got the same mark or a similar mark registered, covering the same similar goods. If it looks good, we'll tell you it's good. If we don't, we'll tell you that, because it's so important to make sure your mark is either free for use or free for registration, or more likely, hopefully, both.
Okay, so then we need to look at the goods that we need to protect.
We do. It is just about possible to get registration in respect of all goods and all services. The problem is that's going to cost you much too much, and really you don't want it. So the fact is that most marks are registered in respect of the goods, the services for which you're actually going to be using the mark. And there are therefore going to be ways in which you've got to make sure you show and you actually show those marks are registered and the goods that they're covering. That's where classification comes in. There's an international classification system. Every single set of goods, every single set of services falls within one of those 45 different classes. So, 45 classes. The point is, actually, you're doing a search. Your search is for a particular trademark. Now, in fact, we will always want to look for the goods that you are interested in, or the services you're interested in. But we're not really fussed if somebody else has got the trademark or a similar mark registered in relation to something completely different. And that is why there is a classification system. Now, who would be confused polo car and polo mints? They wouldn't. So it's possible to get coexistence with two marks registered for two different people.
Okay, so are we now almost ready to proceed?
I hope so. The point is, though, the most important thing is that you get your mark registered, because that is the only way in which you will definitely have rights in the trademark. And the other thing is it's first come, first served. Whoever uses the mark, that's not good enough. So what you have to do is make sure the application is on file, and then hopefully you'll get your trademark registration. And once you've got your trademark registered, that's great. But apply early. The fact is that it is possible to cancel somebody else's trademark if they haven't used it. But that is usually after a period of 5 years or longer, because you have 5 years. If you haven't got everything in place, then no one can cancel your mark until it's been registered for a period of 5 years. So you've got the plan. It has to be first come, first served. So make sure you apply early. Get the mark. Immediately you know the mark and what you want to use it on, register it.
Sounds like good advice. Right, finally, perhaps we need to determine the territories or the jurisdictions we want to cover in our trademarks.
Yes, definitely. There are different ways to get registration. The most obvious and perhaps most used is national registration. So that's done on a country-by-country basis. If we're looking at the United Kingdom, sure, we can file a UK application which covers the classes we want to make sure. But there's another way. With the UK being party to the EU, there's also a community trademark registration. Now, the community trademark registration is something which we certainly look at very seriously, because the fact is a community registration covers 27 member states. It's not just the United Kingdom. One application, one registration, 27 countries.
Sounds a bit like a minefield, really.
It does. But there's another way. The third way is actually through an international registration. An international registration is a slight misnomer. The reason being, international makes it sound as if you can get a registration covering every single country, but you can't. What you can do is get registration in a country which is party to one of two agreements. Those two agreements are the Madrid Agreement and the Madrid Protocol. Currently, there are about 80 countries, 80 member states for each of those, including the UK and, in fact, including the community. So that's the other way, the third way to get protection in the United Kingdom.
Still sounds a bit like a minefield to me.
It's a minefield. So, how do we help? The fact is, I've told you 3 different ways to get registration in the UK. So, if you're interested just in the UK, fine. Should we file a UK application? Well, maybe. But look at 5 years' time. Is that where you're going to be? Do you believe that's where you're going to be? Because as I said earlier, if you have a trademark registration, you don't have to use it for 5 years until it's open for cancellation. So, let's just say UK now, 5 years, we might be trading in the Republic of Ireland. The Republic of Ireland, party to the EU, maybe we go for community registration. Or, with the Republic of Ireland also being a member state of the Madrid Protocol, you can get an international registration. So look where you're going to be in 5 years' time.
And presumably you have all of these different requirements for these different trademarks.
We do. But luckily, we've got so much experience and we've been doing this really in so many different countries that we can always lead you through that maze of legislation. The other thing is the goods and the services in relation to which you should get your mark registered. The reason? Well, in some countries, you can only get trademark registration for the goods or the services that you're going to use the mark on. That's not true for every single state, because you can go wider than that. And if you do go wider than that, you do not necessarily want to make sure that somebody can cancel your mark for goods you're not going to use it on in 5 years' time. So, we will discuss with you where it is you should protect the mark, and then also the goods and the services that you should file for. And we know in this day and age that each project is actually going to cost you some money, and you'll want to know how much that is. So one of the criteria we try to make sure is we help you with your budget. We therefore have fixed sums wherever we can, and you will know as closely as possible how much it's going to cost you. So there we are. Where are you going to register it? How are you going to do it? What are you going to register it for? How much is it going to cost you? Hopefully we'll be able to help you with all those things and help you to make an informed decision. And we'll provide you with value for money.
Okay, so assuming we have been successful in any trademark registrations that we've looked for, how do we signify that the mark is registered and is ours?
One thing that I think most of you will have seen is an R in the circle. Now that's to indicate that the trademark itself is registered. It's not something you have to use, but it's something that a lot of people do use. Why? It's a very important indicator that the mark is protected. And when it's protected, you're telling people, don't do anything that I wouldn't do. The fact is, it's registered, and I have got the rights in that mark. Keep clear. So, we've got the mark registered. We have indeed. We've marked it. We've told people keep off. So, where do we go from here?
Where we go from here are renewals. Renewals are not necessary to be done every year. In fact, most jurisdictions nowadays use the international system. This is a 10-year system, so your protection lasts for 10 years. Most countries do run from the date of application nowadays, but there are still some that run from the date of registration, such as the United States of America. To ensure renewal dates are not missed, all information is inputted into our database. We will send you a renewal reminder approximately 6 months prior to the renewal date. This is normally done by email nowadays. This provides you with the opportunity of whether you wish to renew the mark, and we're always on hand to discuss the merits of effecting protection for a further period. If maintenance is required, we take all the appropriate action on your behalf, but we will then eventually at some stage provide you with a certificate of renewal showing that your mark has been renewed for a further period. So most of the time this is 10 years. We then go on to the next period, and so the cycle is repeated. So on this occasion here we're going to do it from 11 to 21 and then from 21 to 31. Renewals, as I mentioned, are generally 10 years, and another important factor about a trademark is that it can last forever. Unlike a design or a patent registration, which have specific lifespans, a trademark, as long as you renew it at the appropriate time, can last forever. It is yours for keeps.
That all sounds extremely expensive.
Actually, it's not. Not nowadays. Trademarks are very inexpensive, in fact. If you're looking at reverting on the new mark, as we talked about earlier when Francis was doing an application for registration, in the UK, as we'll show on the slide here, it's £570 from start to finish. And don't forget, once you've got the mark registered, that is for 10 years. So £570 for a whole 10 years. So we're only looking at £57 a year, or another way, £1.10 a month. This is assuming we do not encounter any problems during the prosecution. Renewing a trademark in virtually every country of the world is less expensive than a trademark registration. Taking the UK here as a yardstick, the renewal cost nowadays is £400. And don't forget, that's again for a further 10 years. As we've talked about CTMs, we'll look at the cost here as well. Community registration is £1,760. I can already see some people saying that's bloody expensive, but it's actually not, because we're looking at 27 countries here under that £1,760, and again it is for 10 years, so I'll leave you guys to do the maths. That's very, very good value. In fact, it's probably the least expensive way of protecting your trademark in 27 countries. And again, using that as a yardstick, the renewal for a community trademark is £1,670.
And that's for 10 years.
That's for 10 years as well, yes, it certainly is.
All right. So, that's what we've done there. I can hear it's all very expensive, but it's not the end. Because the point is that the final piece of the jigsaw is a watching service. A watching service. Well, the point is that you need to know if somebody else has filed the same or a similar mark, because the UKIP practice, the UK Intellectual Property Organisation, their practice is they will examine your trademark application, and what they will do is they will see if somebody else has got the same or a similar mark registered, but they cannot reject your application on the basis of that prior application or registration. The onus will be on you. If you have rights in that particular trademark, then you have to file opposition. You can't just rely on UK IPO, because they can't do it unless you file opposition. And the other thing is the community have exactly the same practice. So if there is another mark, you have to become aware of it. That's our watching service. What we do, we keep an eye on every single register that we need to, and we will tell you if we see something that we think could be a problem. And if there is a problem, we've got the experience, we can certainly handle it, we can do exactly what you want. If that's opposed, reach an agreement with the other side, or just leave it. We tell you about it. Now, Ken, you deal with a lot of the watching. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yep. As Francis has explained, we provide this watching service for you, and initially all we need from you, apart from your mark and your goods, etc., if it's not already in our records, is to determine which country or which countries you wish to look at. If you're only trading in the UK, for example, then the watch would obviously be for UK only. The cost here is £70 for a whole year for one mark in a single class, or up to 3 classes, whichever is applicable. This only probably depends on if you're not looking, as Francis said earlier, further afield than 5 years to use it anywhere else. If you're restricting yourself to UK, then the watch you want is only UK, obviously. If you do have a community trademark registration or have plans to move into Europe, then perhaps you'd look at a CTM watch. The cost here is £65 for a single class. And finally, we're looking through to a worldwide watch. A worldwide watch works out about £95 for a mark. But unless you're a multi-conglomerate, then you probably wouldn't even want that. It's probably not worthwhile. And the one good thing as well about all of this is that if you have a registered trademark that we've never dealt with, provide us with the details and we'll provide you with a free watch.
You can't be serious. A free watch?
Absolutely, absolutely right. All we need from you are your details of your existing registration, and it's free for a whole year. Once we've had the details, not only do you get this free watch for a whole year, but we will provide you with the renewal reminder at the appropriate stage, so you get an added benefit. Even if you don't want us to renew it, it's on our system, you get the free watch. As Francis said earlier, it's extremely important for you to have this watch service in place, or third parties can gain identical or very similar rights Even if you have a trademark registration, the onus is on you, as Francis said earlier. The Watch Service provides the appropriate policing to prevent this. And as I said, the first year is free, and although there is a small fee, as we've discussed earlier, on subsequent years, this can be stopped at any time, so it needn't cost you anything. This is a no-lose situation for you, the client. This is our final clip, you'll be pleased to know. As it says here, you can book a meeting or you can hold a telephone conversation with any trademark attorney at Hallmark, and the first 30 minutes is absolutely free. Something else we give for nothing. And as I've said earlier, I've been at this company now for 40 years, and Hallmark have actually been going for 125 years. Over this time, we have worked for major multi-conglomerates who have huge portfolios, but we're also very used to dealing with either individuals or very small companies. For instance, Francis, on his way to work, stops off at Waterloo Station. Outside, he goes for his normal coffee fix in the morning. This just happens to be a cappuccino. And he goes to a coffee barista who sold his coffee through a mobile stand. Francis got talking to the gentleman in question and discussing the brand that was shown all over the livery. And eventually the guy said, yes, I'll have a trademark registration. He actually got this mark registered. He's very happy with it. And his business is now booming. And he's got further mobile units sporting the brand. My point here is that we are very, very passionate about trademarks and have a very special link with small and medium-sized companies who we have worked now for many, many years. Why should you go to the trouble and expense of perfecting a brand and possibly running the risk of having this taken from you after all of the outlay you've gone through? At the very least, if you do not take appropriate action, this will result in dilution of your brand or your trademark. And please, and I mean this, please, do not hesitate to contact us should you require any assistance whatsoever. We have this presentation in a slightly longer form on CD already. It only runs for 15 minutes. You don't have those guys talking over even, so there's an added bonus there. If you want one, feel free to call us up. You can watch this in the comfort of your own home or your office. I hope the presentation has been of use to you, and I wish all you guys out there every luck with your business. And remember, as it says, your brands need safe hands. Now I'm going to pass back to Bradley now.
Okay, well done, fellas. No, just come back into the screen there. You have to excuse me today for being casual. Ken, if you just see that flashing red bar there that says chat on the left-hand side there, if you just scroll up onto there, we've got a couple of chat functions. Your mouse is on the left screen. Paul, that's it. You've got to come across to the right. We've got two screens going here. There you go. That's it. There you go. Click on that. We've got a couple of questions in there, and Francis, do you want to read the first one out there from Billy? What does it say?
From Billy? Here we go. Should I run a UK registration or worldwide? Is that the one, Billy?
Yeah.
Right, okay. The question is actually going to be, where are you going to be trading? Because the point is also, you do, as I said earlier, you have a budget. And you don't want to spend too much money if you're not going to be trading out there. So UK, fine. What you do, we will discuss that with you. Should it be a UK? Should it be community? But don't go for an international unless you really do have the plans in place. And another thing that we didn't discuss is the point that actually you can get rights for 6 months for filing your application, and you've then got 6 months more to be able to decide if you want to go wider than that. If you file wider than that, you get your first application date. And all rights date back to when you file. They don't date back to when you register, it's when you file the application. So again, what I said was very, very important, is to get your applications on record. UK, if that's where you're trading, then yeah, look at UK, community, and possible an international. But an international will cost you more. Talk to us about it. You've got the first 30 minutes free.
Thank you very much indeed. Good question. I mean, Billy's asked 3 questions. The last question is something about an inventor, a guy that's inventing a product. I can't quite read that for me, guys. What's the last one? I've invented a product.
Now, can I be overturned if you have been using it for some time? The answer to that.
You mean the one above?
Oh, the one above
it, yes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon.
That's my fault.
Okay, what if I've invented something that's not yet on the market? Well, have you decided what it is you're going to call it? Because if you have, then get your mark on register. But make sure it's registrable. Again, you've got 30 minutes. Have a chat with me. I'm quite happy with that. Tell me what it is. I'm not going to tell anyone else. Tell me what it is, what you want to call it. I'll tell you if I think the mark's going to be registrable. If it is going to be registrable, we'll do a search. If we do the search, if it's free, file the application. Ken's told you it's not that expensive, so make sure you go for it.
Fantastic, great answer. And do you know what I mean, guys? Just to summarise today, I mean, many of us that are starting out in business, you know, we we know X amount, we have X amount of knowledge, and it seems in life that when we're born we have little knowledge, and when we leave this world we've got all the knowledge we need to succeed. So how do we bring that knowledge absorption rate forward? How do we learn more about things we need to do? It's by guys like this coming on to Raw Business TV, and thanks fellas for joining us today, and making it a bit more humane, making it a bit more fun, a bit more lively. And I'm sure you'll agree with these two fellas on camera today have been quite fun. It's been quite entertaining. And you know, I wouldn't mind picking up the phone and calling these two chaps. I mean, as you guys know, I'm just an Essex guy. You know, I'm not the most eloquent of speakers, as you can tell by my Essex accent. And last night, coming out of South London after interviewing Charlie Mullins, I was really like this, go on Charlie, and he's such a lovely man, but my Essex boy accent come out. These two guys, actually I feel very comfortable talking to them. I'm sure that we're going to talk about raw business and trademark for our company, and there's some other things that we might be doing with these guys in the very near future. For example, Raw Business Magazine is about to go interactive in terms of raw TV. So what we're going to do is the magazine is going to become an interactive magazine that's going to have the webcasts on either a single page or a double page spread article. And we're going to invite the fellas to be one of our first customers onto the double page spread. It's something we're going to give these guys free of charge to give them some extra promotion, because we've liked what they've done today and we've liked what they're talking about. So these fellas, subject to them agreeing and being able to go ahead, we're going to give them a double page spread, and then we're going to feature this video on the magazine that's going to go out. That's the next edition of Raw Business Magazine, edition 17, which is going to be an interactive online edition. So some great changes for us. IP protection, it is an important thing to discuss. So please make sure you give the guys a call, have an informal chat with them. They will be just as open-minded and helpful as they have been on Raw TV today. I'm very pleased to once again go back and go over in quite a relaxed fashion the importance of protection, trademark protection. And to listen, guys, you know, please feel free to contact Hallmark IP. Just want to give both the guys email addresses and contact numbers if you wouldn't mind, guys.
Yeah, I'm Francis, that's with an I, .Preedy, P-R-E-E-D-Y, at hallmark-ip.com. Francis, F-R-A-N-C-I-S, .Preedy, P-R-E-E-D-Y, at hallmark, like the cards, but we didn't infringe their rights, -ip.com. Ken?
Yes, well, I'm same address, but it's ken.sewell, ken.sewell at hallmark-ip.com. If you need to call us at all, it's 0203 102 9000, and someone will put you directly through to us.
Okay, and the web address as well, guys, is www.hallmark-ip.com. That's www.hallmark-ip.com. That just leaves me to say today, on behalf of Raw Business TV, thank you very much indeed, Ken and Francis, for joining us. Thank you so much for presenting Hallmark IP to our members, readers, and viewers. And guys, please make contact, have a chat with the guys, even if it's an informal chat, even if you're not quite ready yet. Have an early discussion and start making sure that in business we cover the things we need to cover before mistakes happen. In my life, as you know, there's been so many challenges that I've come up against and so many mistakes that I've made. I must be the mistake king, and I've got to learn to be the success king.
Yep.
I've been through the IP challenges, and I've been on both sides actually. I've also worked for a very large company that was a directory company that actually had they had a trademark infringement, and they'd used the name for 3 years, spent millions of pounds on the brand, and a very large multi-million-dollar corporation from America flew into the UK with the to prosecute for brand trademark infringement. And they were talking £250,000. Now, that may not happen to some of us initially, but hey, it could happen. Protect your business, as the guys say. What is it? Your business in safe hands?
Your brand's in safe hands.
Your brand's safe hands.
That's absolutely right.
So it's thank you from me, and thank you from Ken.
Thank you very much.
And from Francis.
Thanks very much, Bradley. It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you on the other side. I'm going to stop recording now. Thank you very much indeed. All right.